It isn't the government. There is no such thing as the government. There are several governments, and they're at war with each other. A real incredible breakthrough in what NASA and Viking claimed they were searching for, life on Mars. Except, of course, they lied to us, they lied to us, they lied to us, and they've been lying on this subject for 30 years. So isn't the scientific method to check it out? No, instead of checking it out, they ran at warp 9 in the other direction. Do you want people to realize there's a way to do things without drilling in the Middle East and all the political and economic infrastructure that's been built up? No, I don't think so. And that plan obviously has been in place for the last 40 years. Every person to be sovereign suddenly, where they would have unlimited amounts of energy from a thing running in their basement that they never have to look at and touch again for their lifetime, just by flipping a switch that would draw energy out of space, out of another dimension, that would be hyperdimensional. No, not if you're into control, because how do you control people? You keep them dependent on you for the critical resources of life. Then when NASA went out into space, it would logically find evidence of possibly more advanced beings. And it said in the charter, on the moon, Mars, or Venus. Well, advanced beings would have to be created by somebody, right? The resolution of this paradox is that Ed Mitchell has had something happen to his mind.
Oh, that answer I did know. Okay.
The astronauts, I believe, have been tampered with.
Yes.
There are all kinds of papers now coming out in the open literature about technologies which can selectively wipe out your memories on specific events. And I believe, and I have in the book, Mike and I carefully put in document after document after document of reference to all of the astronauts at one time or another have complained about not being able to remember what they did on the moon. The lie is different at every level.
I'm Kerry Cassidy. This is Project Camelot, and we are here with Richard Hoagland. And he's just written a book called Dark Mission with his partner Mike Barra. And we are thrilled to be in his New Mexico home. So from here, basically, Richard, we're gonna run with you in the beginning and let you kind of lead us where you want to take us. And then at some point, I'm going to start steering you in different directions, and you can fight me, or you can agree with me, or you
others have tried that.
We can have a little jousting match, or however you want to deal with it. Okay.
Okay.
But we'll have some fun, and hopefully we'll all learn something. What can you tell us about this new, amazing secret history of NASA?
Well, it's been a story that's many, many years in the making. I mean, at least 40-some years since the genesis of NASA itself back in 1958. What I'm intrigued with is how it's a story that I've tried to tell before in various venues. I've told it on, the Art Bell Show, Coast to Coast. I've told it at the National Press Club in a press conference that we did with 8 other people, very prestigious background, NASA people, imaging people, in 1996. And it's a story that I've, even told on television. But until we wrote Dark Mission, it hasn't seemed to take root. 2 weeks after the book was published, it became a bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list. In fact, that's what this nice little emblem up in the corner of the book says. That's not a mean feat to do when you've had no national television exposure on such a volume as this. The only exposure we've had, the only way that people found out that we had written a new book and we were looking at the background of NASA and what they've been telling us against the background of who they really are, was on the Coast to Coast audience and on the websites. We have 2 websites, enterprisemission.com, which is the formal website of the Enterprise investigation, and we also have darkmission.net, which is the official website of the new book. I think it's kind of like the old Mark Twain quote, when it's steamboat time, you steam. I think we are politically in this country, actually in the world, particularly after the last 8 years, all of us are ready to get to the truth, to drop the lies. It is so overwhelming now, it is so in our face that people that we have trusted with our our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor, that they've lied to us. And they've looked into the cameras and they have absolutely told us lie after lie after lie. So when Mike and I come out with a book that ostensibly is going to tell you the truth behind some of the lies about an agency that is not center in the mainstream except during launches from the Cape, I think that explains this grassroots groundswell where they literally, in the bookstores now, Barnes & Noble and the other chains, they can't keep it on the shelves. Mike's brother went into a Barnes & Noble up in Seattle the other day, and the clerk said, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Barra, but we had 20 in yesterday, and there's only one left. And of course, that to me is really good political news, because it means we're somehow connecting. We're connecting with the American people, and we get a chance to show them, to document the truth.
Mm-hmm. So what is the truth? What is the bottom line? And you can build the story however you want. But basically, you're saying that NASA has lied to us. In essence, our government has lied to us, because they're one and the same, right? They're interwoven in some ways.
Not necessarily. See, this is where people need to think nuance. People need to be much more sophisticated, which of course a 21st century viewer or reader these days is. It isn't the government. There is no such thing as the government. There are several governments, and they're at war with each other. And you see occasionally evidence in public that there is some kind of war, but in fact, most of the time, the nuanced positionings are hidden. It's really almost like the old feudal system. You know, we've all been raised on stories of Robin Hood and Sherwood Forest and the Sheriff of Nottingham and, you know, the King John and the terrible things that were going on in England when Sir Richard, you know, the good guy, the King of England, was off fighting in the Crusades, and the bad guy, John, was basically trying to steal his empire behind his back while he was off doing good deeds. What we're looking at in the current U.S. government, which the Founding Fathers never, in their wildest nightmare, except maybe for, you know, that vision that Washington ostensibly had at Valley Forge, they never imagined that there would be these baronies, these feudal kingdoms, these fiefdoms fighting with each other and with the American people over power. Ultimately, it's all about power.
So name the fiefdoms. Are you willing to do that?
Well, they're out in CNN. There's the Defense Department, and there's the State Department, and there's NASA, and there's the CIA, and all the alphabet agencies. You know, remember the National Intelligence Estimate that just told us a few days ago that, whoops, Iran really isn't developing a nuclear weapon and hasn't been for 4 years, was the compilation of 16 or 17 intelligence agencies that somehow all got together with a consensus and said, okay, we really were mistaken before. They aren't doing what the president has been telling you they're doing for months now, beating the drumbeats of war, threatening World War III. So people are seeing that there is this incredible internal food fight going on in the U.S. government, that there is no one government. There are, in the House and Senate alone, 535 governments. Each member, each representative, each senator has their own perspective when they're actually answerable to their constituents.
Okay, are you going to talk about the below the level of the general consensus reality governments that are also going on?
Well, that's 5 light years away. Let's get there quietly, all right? Let's get there with some kind of transition, because for most people, the idea that what they see on CNN is not reality is a shock. Mm-hmm. We're just beginning in the mainstream, what I call the bell curve, because that's what it is. It's the middle of the road. It's the silent majority, as Nixon used to call it. We're just beginning to get those people to realize that their government, the people that they trust, the people that they elect, the people that they vote into power, may not be the people really running the show. That is a staggering leap for most people who really do think that when they show up at the ballot box, or they go to a caucus, or they you know, participate in some kind of poll, that has real power. No, that has power in the public venue, but the real determiners of our fate are being determined in private and in secret, and we identify in Dark Mission, Notice how elegantly I brought it back
That
to my
was a
book?
lovely
Thank you.
segue.
We identify the 3 secret power groups who are in fact behind and in charge of and fighting with each other for power under the NASA emblem. And they are, because I can see that's where you want to go, they are the Nazis, the Masons,
Wow.
and the magicians.
Very good. Very good. So that's actually stunning that you would actually name them, at least at that level.
Why is it stunning? It's the truth.
Because very few people will.
But that's what Dark Mission's all about, to tell people the truth. Because, you know, it's, look, George had a guest on the other night, you know, he actually was a minister. He was a pastor who was taken by one of the top vice presidents of Atlantic Richfield up to Prudhoe Bay in the 70s when they were drilling on the North Slope and building the pipeline.
Right.
And he, you know, was very fond during his 4 hours on coast of quoting again and again from, you know, one of the biblical proverbs, you know, the truth shall set you free. Know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Well, the first step on the road to freedom is knowing you're being lied to. And one of the mantras that we have throughout Dark Mission is a line that was actually given to me by one of these intel agents. You know, you get calls from these people, you actually even have dinner with them, they come to conferences. You never really know how much of what they're telling you is the truth and how much is spin, how much is a veiled lie with a bit of truth embedded, otherwise no one will ever buy it. So you're constantly making decisions when you rely on sources, which we at Enterprise really try not to do, and I'll expand on that in a minute. This individual gave me a stunningly interesting line. In fact, it probably was the second most important thing that anybody in public life has ever told me. The first was my old friend Gene Roddenberry, which I'll get back to in a second. This intel agent said to me in one of our early conversations, reiterated over and over again, it's become kind of like an in-joke, you know, when we're on the phone talking to each other. The lie is different at every level. Meaning that even the people who are in front of the camera spinning, telling you that the world is coming to an end, telling you that the dollar is crashing, telling you that we're running out of oil, telling you that we have to nuke Iran before they nuke us, telling you that, you know, Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, most of those people really believe what they're telling you. Because they've been told lies by people that they trust.
Right.
So the lie goes up the line. Every little group is controlled and contained and constrained by being fed exactly how much BS they will believe. So they can come out in front of the cameras at like the National Press Club or at the White House when the president's spokesperson comes out. She believes 99% of the stuff she's saying. She's not in on the lie. She doesn't know it's a lie, because if she did, she couldn't be the actress as she is.
Exactly.
The lie has to be different at every level in order for the entire assemblage of lies to ultimately control all the rest of us and to contain the truth. And by contain, I don't mean, you know, encapsulate it, I mean suppress it.
Okay,
Keep it away.